Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. But rather, seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's, Yahweh Shem Shai's, but the earth has it given to the children of men. Right, and what is it for? To dwell in. Now, Yahweh Shai said that there's a place up there in the heavens in the Father's house that he has prepared for us. And then the scriptures speak about the Lord spread out the heavens to be inhabited. So it's going to be something, man. It's going to be something. And even in that, we still can't fathom what it's going to be like. Because the earth is huge. But the earth is only going to be able to accommodate so many Israelites. Remember, it says that the little one shall become 1,000 and the small one a strong nation. So Israelites are going to multiply. Remember, just in the land of Egypt, it said the more hell they put on Jake, the more they multiply. Isaiah 54:1, sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear, break forth into singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. This goes back to Sarah and Hagar. Remember, Sarah was barren, Hagar got pregnant. But the one that was barren, she has more children than the one that had children, but she had Ishmael. The Lord blessed Ishmael, gave him 12 princes, and you see that Ishmael is blessed. They have a blessed land. You know, they're blessed people. They got a lot. But the Israelites, on the other hand, are going to be far greater. And they're going to be so many that it says, enlarge the place of thy tent, meaning where you live, enlarge that. Make it bigger, stretch it out, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thy habitations. So where's that going to happen? That's going to go further than the planet Earth. It's going to go out there to different planets. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. Why? Because the Israelites are going to be so many. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, the actual nations, because they will be our slaves.
My slaves, my Edomites, welcome to hell, welcome to the kingdom.
And that's the true meaning of being blessed, to have slaves. Slaves bowing down to you, coming to you at your beck and call, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, meaning everything that we've suffered is going to be forgotten. The Lord said he's going to wipe away all tears from our eyes. It says, and shall not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. For thy maker is thine husband, the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the power of the whole earth shall he be called.
The Lord promised better things for us, okay? Because the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai has a favorite people. And he's going to give this favorite people a heavenly kingdom. A kingdom that's blueprinted and formatted and patterned after his mind. How he want a kingdom to be.
But rather, seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back, all right, to the obedience of scriptures, all right, through the scriptures, through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. You know, and what I want to get into today, this morning news and prophecy, you know, is the devil, you know, he's rolling out, you know, digital slavery. Okay, what we see happening, all right, what this devil, all right, is gradually pushing towards, and he's making moves. Okay, he's setting up, you know, legislation, you know, he's building actual infrastructure, you know, and to speed these things up, we know that he's going to do certain psyops, you know, cause certain events to happen, you know, justify him, you know, making certain power moves towards, you know, this digital, all right, technocracy. And ultimately, all right, this is digital slavery, you know, which is slavery on a whole nother level. Okay. And the whole time this devil, you know, has been you know, pushing these mantras, especially in America, you know, the land of the free. Okay. Lady Liberty, you know, land of the liberty, you know, they market America to its own people, you know, as if they're in the best place to be. You know, they make it seem as everything outside of America, all right, is second class, okay, a second tier, you know, to the freedoms and the luxuries, okay, and the enjoyment of America, all right, and the whole time, okay, there's no one, you know, there's more, you know, a slave to the government than the American people, okay, and a large part of this slavery, you know, deals with this capitalistic economy. All right. And what they want to do now, because as they, you know, enslave people, you know, to debt, well, now they want to take this to another level. Okay. And take this slavery digital, which gives them more control. Okay. And the few, you know, freedoms and liberty that you do have, they want to script it. Okay. So the Lord has, you know, his men, on their watch. Okay. Man, if I'm gonna change the title too to digital slavery, but the Lord has, all right, his men, okay, on their watch, okay, as we see these things happen, okay, and we see the transition because see the transition is being more blatant now. It's always been a transition, okay, but now, okay, we're right here at the door. You see, so let's get a few precepts, and then I got a video I want to go into, to show you, okay, how they plan, all right, or what they're doing, to push, all right, this digital slavery, okay, to the world, okay, and over here in the West, like I say, where people are used to so many freedoms, and liberties, okay, we're seeing them now be more aggressive, all right, with how they're handling, okay, you citizens of the West, okay. So let me see. Hold on. All right, so let's go here. Let's get a few precepts. Let's start off in Matthew, okay, because we, was commanded, to be on our watch, As I said, this devil, he's speeding things up. We're seeing desperation. Okay, that's why you see an increase, attacking. All right, it's a sign of desperation. All right, he's being revealed, and he that he has a short time to try to pull this off. All right, this is Matthew 26:41 in the AMP. It says, "Keep actively watching and praying that you may not come into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Okay, so we're commanded to watch and pray. As we see the devil, is homing in, all right, on this enterprise. Okay, we know what comes with that. We know that the devil wants to bring order out of chaos. So one thing that we're going to see, increase is chaos. Okay, because chaos is going to create the desperation, all right, that the devil wants, okay, to present, you see, his technocracy as salvation, and ultimately just digital enslavement. Okay, and it's already in progress. Okay, so we're just watching the moves being made, okay, that's leading up to it. All right, let's go here to Isaiah, okay, 62, because the Lord has appointed, particular men to be watchmen, okay, unto Israel. Okay, Isaiah 62:6, it says, "On your wall, Jerusalem, I have appointed and stationed watchmen," okay, prophets. Okay, so the Lord didn't leave us out here bare, to where we wouldn't be in the know. Okay, the Lord has put his spirit, okay, on particular men of Israel, okay, the prophets, to be watchmen, to report these things, filter them through the scriptures as they're happening in real time. Okay, as we understand this devil's end game, okay, is to try to be the Most High, all right, through his technology, man. Okay, and he wants to take tyranny to another level, okay, like no heathen has ever done. Okay, it says, "Who will never keep silent day or night. You who profess the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, take no rest for yourselves, man." Okay, because we in the clutch now. You see, the message is becoming more urgent. Because any day the devil can flip a switch. Okay, and this thing can go into a whole nother phase. All right, and then as I'm watching, I'm watching this video. I'm watching this video, just the things that he's already done, globally, okay, lets us know, all right, that one announcement, one event, can change a lot. Okay. So that's why the spirit, has us homed in, on this devil, man. Okay. So let's go from there. Let's get this. Let me cue this up. All right, now this video is called, the War on Cash. All right, and he's gonna go, into situations that have been happening globally. Okay, showing you that these devils, they've been using, all right, these other countries, all right, as trial runs, okay, for their global system. Okay, that's what these devils will do. All right, so when you hear about these things happening, the economy going digital, anywhere in the world, the elites are behind it. Okay, and this shows you, all right, the authority that they have, okay, over these governments of the earth. The fact that they're able to enforce these things, okay, amongst these different governments. Okay, so let's play this. All right, and we'll get some more precepts and add to it.
Disappearing, not by accident, not because of convenience, by design. Cash is disappearing, not by accident, not because of convenience, by design. In Sweden, 98% of transactions are now cashless. Most stores don't even accept physical money anymore. In India, the government banned 86% of its currency overnight in 2016, forcing hundreds of millions of people to scramble for digital alternatives or watch their savings become worthless paper. In France, you cannot legally make a cash transaction over 1,000 euros. In Italy, it's the same. Greece, Spain, Belgium, all have legal limits on how much cash you can use. And in the United States, try depositing $10,000 in cash at your bank and see what happens. You'll be reported to the government, investigated for potential money laundering, and treated like a criminal for the crime of using legal currency. The war on cash is not coming. It's already here. And if you think this is about stopping criminals or making payments more efficient, you're missing the point entirely. Because once cash is gone, once every transaction you make is digital, tracked, and controlled, you're no longer economically free. You are permission-based, and permission can be revoked. Let's start with what cash actually is. It's the only form of money that's truly yours. When you hold a $20 bill, you own it. You can spend it without asking anyone's permission. You don't need a bank account, a smartphone, or an internet connection. You don't need to prove your identity or explain what you're buying. It's anonymous, immediate, and final. No one can freeze it, reverse it, or track it. That's why governments hate it, because cash is freedom. And every authoritarian system in history has understood that if you want to control a population, you must control their money. And you cannot control what you cannot see. So the first step is always the same. Eliminate.
And even cash, is a tool of control. All right, because we're gonna go into true wealth, true riches. What it begins with, we'll expound on it. But even that is a form of control. All right. But these devils want more control. They want control on a whole nother level. You see, there's still too much freedom within cash. Okay. So these devils, all right, want to tighten down the screws. Okay. And in order to do that, all right, we're going to continue to see cash, being phased out. All right. And they already have, countries that are majority, okay, digital. Okay. Where it's extremely inconvenient to try to use cash. Okay. So these devils, you see, they boots on the ground with it, man. Okay. And they're rolling this thing out.
Cash force everyone into a system where every transaction is visible, every purchase is recorded, and every financial decision can be monitored, restricted, or punished. Sweden is held up as the model.
Planning to publish a book could reach 3 billion readers if you've written up.
A modern, progressive, cashless society. But let's look at what that actually means. In Sweden, you can no longer pay for public transportation with cash in many cities. Homeless people begging on the street
niggas getting card readers from. Okay, in Sweden, the homeless have card readers. Okay, where are these niggas getting card readers from that's homeless? That's crazy, man. All right, but this is how far certain countries and governments have gotten into their digital system. Okay, and this is why we have to be aware. The scripture say, "Be circumspect of what's going on," because the devil he's doing it. Because in Sweden, that's where you hear a lot of brothers do stories about people in Sweden that already have the micro C-hip. Okay, when you go into Sweden. Okay, see, can we look it up real quick? When I heard this, I'm like, where are homeless people getting car readers from? Let me see, pull up real quick. Microchips. All right, so let's just go here. We go back to the video. So you go here dealing with Sweden. All right, because they have the countries that they are doing trial runs. Okay, so they'll trial run on these different countries. Okay, before we're going to see them mandate this thing globally. Okay, but this country that's already ahead. Okay, within you see this digital system. Okay, so I asked you, are there people in Sweden, with RFID microchips? It says yes, there are people in Sweden who have RFID or similar microchips implanted under their skin. Here's a bit more detail. The chips are typically small, about the size of a grain of rice, and are implanted under the skin. Okay, and this is what John the Revelator seen, man. He seen people getting this device. Okay, so there's already an active, society, a functioning society that are using this technology, man. Okay, and it says, and are implemented under the skin, example, in the hand. Okay, that's why the John the Revelator, he spoke about what the hand. He spoke about the forehead as well. All right, but it was emphasis on the hand. Okay, it says they're used for convenience. All right, and that's the sales pitch. For example, instead of carrying keys, ID, or access cards, people have their hand over a reader to unlock doors, open offices, access gyms, and in some cases even use them for train tickets or other digital access, man. Okay, and they can show you Sweden, is functioning in this system and the convenience of it. Okay, and you think that's what they want for everyone. Like that's the end all be all, just convenience. Okay, he's not going to tell you that he's going to put you in a digital prison. You see? And it says, according to the media reports, thousands of Swedes have accepted such implants since the practice begun around 2015. Okay, if you want, I can check the latest available numbers. All right. Let's see what we do. So let's see. It says some widely cited estimates, particularly from media reports in 2010s, placed the number around 3,000 to 4,000 by 2020. A fact check reported a 6,000 figure for total microchip recipients. Okay. Yeah, man. So this is already a thing. You know, they're saying somewhere between 5 to 7,000, could be higher. All right, but this is a trend. You know, it's becoming an uptick. Okay, just as you seen with cell phone, everybody didn't have the cell phone overnight. Okay, it became integrated into society till it became all right normal. Okay, till it became a standard. You see, but this devil is going to cause things to happen to accelerate, you know, making these things a standard. Okay, so let's play this, you know. But yeah, the Swedes, okay, they're ahead of everyone when it comes to this digital system because they are already operating with the micro C-hip, okay, which this devil wants to roll out globally, man. So let's play this.
In many cities, homeless people begging on the street have started carrying card readers because no one has coins to give them anymore. Churches pass around card readers instead of collection plates. And an entire generation of Swedes has grown up never handling physical money. They genuinely don't understand why anyone would want it. But here's what they also don't understand. They are completely dependent on a system they do not control. If your bank freezes your account, you cannot buy food. If the power goes out, you cannot pay for anything. If the payment network goes down, the entire economy stops. In 2020, Sweden suffered a major technical outage that knocked out card payment systems across the country. Grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, all paralyzed. People with money in their accounts couldn't access it. This wasn't some catastrophic event. It was a routine technical failure, and it revealed the fragility of a system that has eliminated the backup. Because that's what cash is, a backup, a way to transact when everything else fails. Sweden gave that up for convenience, and now they're trapped. India's case is even more brutal. In November 2016, Prime Minister Modi went on television and announced that 501,000 rupee notes, which made up 86% of the cash in circulation, would no longer be legal tender effective immediately. You had a few weeks to deposit your old notes in a bank and exchange them for new ones. The official reason was to fight corruption, tax evasion, and counterfeit money. The real reason was control. Overnight, millions of people who operated in the cash economy, farmers, small vendors, day laborers, found their money worthless.
Overnight. Okay, they did this in India. India has over 1 billion people. Okay, overnight they did this. Okay, in 2016. Okay, and see, you don't hear this like this story is unknown, and I'm listening to it. This is my first time. Like I knew India was digital, you know, but I didn't know they made a drastic, you know, move like that. You know, just overnight, nigga, whatever you got in there, it don't matter no more. Nigga, we digital now. Okay? And imagine if that happened in America, man. Okay? People are going to lose it, man. Violence is going to go, you know. You see, in these other nations, they're not armed like America, man. And these elites know that America is a powder keg. Okay? So what we're seeing them is they're putting all these other countries ahead of America because they know when they bring it to America, they need all their attention, you know, most of their attention on America, man. Okay, to control the fallout. All right, because they know it's going to be a crazy fallout. You know, when these things are brought, okay, to America, man. Okay.
The lines outside banks stretched for miles. People died waiting in those lines. Legal tender effective immediately. You had a few weeks to deposit your old notes in a bank and exchange them for new ones. The official reason was to fight corruption, tax evasion, and counterfeit money. The real reason was control. Overnight, millions of people who operated in the cash economy, farmers, small vendors, day laborers, found their money worthless. The lines outside banks stretched for miles. People died waiting in those lines, literally. Elderly people, sick people, standing in the heat for hours trying to exchange money that was their life savings. Small businesses collapsed because they couldn't make change. Crops rotted because farmers couldn't pay workers. It was economic chaos, and the government called it progress because the goal was never efficiency. The goal was to force people into the digital banking system where every transaction could be tracked. India wanted to eliminate the informal economy, the untaxed transactions, the under-the-table deals, and the way to do that is to eliminate cash. Did it work? Not the way they claimed. Corruption didn't disappear. The wealthy found ways to convert their cash through proxies and shell companies, but ordinary people suffered, and the government gained exactly what it wanted: more surveillance, more data, more control. France's cash limits are more subtle, but just as insidious. You cannot pay more than 1,000 euros in cash for any transaction.
Hold on. Before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me introduce you to Connect Team, the one platform that replaces all.
If you want to buy a used car, pay rent, purchase jewelry, anything over that limit must be done through a bank. The justification is the same: fighting money laundering, stopping tax evasion. But think about what this really does. It forces you to leave a paper trail for every significant financial decision you make. The government knows when you buy, what you buy, and from whom. And if they don't like it, they can stop it. Because once the transaction is digital, it can be blocked. Your account can be frozen. Your payment can be reversed. And you have no alternative. Because cash, the fallback, is illegal for that purchase. Now let's go back in history. Because the war on cash is not new. It's been tried before. And every time it's been about control. In the Soviet Union, cash was heavily restricted. Large transactions required permits. The state wanted to track everything, control everything. And yet, despite the restrictions, a massive black market thrived because people needed a way to transact outside the system. The Soviet economy ran on two levels: the official economy, tracked and controlled, and the black market, where real goods and services were exchanged using cash, barter, and favors. The government hated it, but they couldn't stop it because as long as physical goods and cash existed, people found ways around the system. The lesson? Eliminating cash doesn't eliminate the underground economy. It just criminalizes normal people trying to survive. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia in the 1990s became a barter economy almost overnight. The ruble was worthless. Hyperinflation destroyed savings. So people stopped using money and went back to the oldest system of all, trading goods for goods. Factories paid workers in products instead of wages. A car factory worker might be paid in car parts. A teacher might be paid in food. People traded what they had for what they needed. It was inefficient, chaotic, but it worked because it didn't depend on a functioning currency. This is what happens when trust in money collapses. People revert to tangible value. And governments hate that because barter is invisible. They can't tax it, track it, or control it. That's why every modern government is so desperate to eliminate cash, because cash is the last step before barter, and barter is freedom. Now let's come back to today. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Every major economy is researching or piloting them. China is already rolling out the digital yuan. Europe is moving toward a digital euro. The Federal Reserve is studying a digital dollar, and they all say the same thing, that it's more efficient, it's more secure, it's the future. But here's what they don't say. CBDCs are programmable. Unlike cash, which just sits there, digital currency can be coded with rules. It can have an expiration date, forcing you to spend it or lose it. It can be restricted to certain types of purchases. No alcohol, no guns, no meat. Whatever the government decides. It can be geofenced, so you can only spend it in certain areas. It can be frozen instantly if you're flagged for any reason. And every transaction, every single one, is recorded in a government database forever. This is not speculation. These are features.
And I want to touch on something he said, geofence. So let's deal with that. All right, because he said the money, the digital currency is going to be programmable, and they can geofence the money. All right, so what geofencing means? All right, so you go here. It said geofencing in CBDC, central bank digital currency, refers to the ability of digital currency system, all right, to restrict or control where the currency can be used based on the user's, all right, or merchant's geographical location. CBDCs are programmable money. Geofencing is one type of programmable constraint. All right, it says with geofencing, the CBD system can allow or block transactions in specific locations. Okay, so think you can get up and go to the beach for vacation where your money might not work on the beach. Okay, you might not have the social credit score needed, okay, to go to the beach. You see, this is the type of control, all right, that this devil wants, man. And this is just another system of compliance. Okay, because it's all about compliance, man. This whole system is all about, all right, this devil having complete compliance in the earth. And this devil's grand scheme and his vision, in order for you to exist on the earth, you're going to have to be completely compliant, all right, to his agenda. Okay? And the best way to control compliance, okay, is through what? Through money. Okay? Which he's, all right, herded people onto his grid. Okay? Made himself, the distributor of resources. Okay? To where the masses have to come through him. And that's why, his new world order, there will be no ownership. No, there will be no private farms. Okay? There will be no self-autonomy. All right? You won't be allowed to build the house. Okay? No, you're going to be completely dependent on him for everything. You see? Even where you spend the money and what you spend it on. All right? Because it's all about forever compliance. This devil wants everybody to be compliant to his will forever. Okay? This is this man trying to bless himself on the left-hand side. Okay? It said limited CBDC usage to a defined zone. All right. It says it can trigger automatic rules based on movement. If a wallet leaves a permitted area, the CBD can freeze, deactivate spending, or require re-verification. Okay. So, just another system of control. That the money can be geo-fenced. Okay. So this is the system that the devil is finna present as some great upgrade. Okay. So let's go back to the video.
That central banks are actively discussing. China is already using this. The digital yuan tracks every purchase, and it's integrated with the social credit system. If your social credit score is too low, your money stops working for certain things. You can't buy plane tickets. You can't book high-speed trains. You can't enroll your kids in private schools. Your money still exists, but you're not allowed to use it the way you want. That's the future of CBDCs, and it's coming to the West. They'll just call it something else. Fraud prevention, risk management, protecting the vulnerable. But the mechanics will be identical. Your money will work only if you comply. Negative interest rates are another piece of this puzzle. In a world with cash, negative interest rates don't work. If the bank charges you to hold your money, you just withdraw it and keep it under your mattress. But in a cashless world, you can't do that. If cash is illegal or unavailable, you're forced to keep your money in the bank. And if the bank charges you negative interest, slowly draining your account, you can't escape. You either spend it, which is what the government wants, or you watch it evaporate. This is already happening in parts of Europe, and it will spread. Because in a world drowning in debt, governments need to force people to spend, not save. And negative interest rates are the tool, but they only work if you eliminate cash. Bank bail-ins are the final nightmare. In 2013, Cyprus faced a banking crisis. Instead of a government bailout, they did something unprecedented. They seized money directly from depositors' accounts. If you had more than 100,000 euros in the bank, they took it. Just erased it from your account to recapitalize the banks. It was legal because the banks were private institutions and depositors were considered creditors. And the terrifying part, this is now official policy. The G20, the group of the world's largest...
So they got what you call a bank bail-in, okay, to where the bank can just take your deposits and say it's an emergency and they need it for capital for them to operate. Okay? And it just, and all in all, it's just a shit show, okay, of a rulership. Okay? It's extremely tacky, man. And he's trying to do too much. Okay? He's all over the place and he's just doing too much, man. Okay? But you got all these system men that just cruelty, man. It's just wicked. It's just cruel what this man is on. Okay? It don't make sense. It's stupid. Okay? But brother can post that in the book of Sirach, I believe 19 and 22. Okay? Let's get these precepts. You know, they got what you call a bank bail-in, to where they just take your deposit and say, look, we need this for the bank to operate. And it's just a real shady, shiesty system that this devil uses to run the earth, man. Okay? And he just, and this man just has no mercy. You know, and he gets off on destroying the poor. People that are already poor, he gets off on putting them in worse situations, man. Okay, Proverbs 29:2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And see, this devil, he's so unpredictable and all over the place. You don't know what this nigga gonna do next. Okay, and he don't care about who starved, who died. He don't care about the civil unrest, the violence. He don't care about none of that, man. You know, he's obsessed with just trying to get more control. Okay, that's his whole thing, is to just get more control of the masses, man. You know, this devil is tired of being called out in his own kingdom. Okay, and told about himself, man. You know, so he wants, all right, control on another level. In his mind, he'll never have to worry about a rebellion or alternative news, or you see, another viewpoint that demon, not that addresses him, that calls him out. Okay, that's all the devil is about. So let's play some more. But yeah, you just go into this, how this devil runs the earth, man. Okay, it's a very cruel and wicked manner that the way this man runs the earth.
Economies has agreed that bail-ins are the preferred method for future banking crises, not taxpayer-funded bailouts, bail-ins, taking your money. And in a cashless society, there's no way to avoid it. You can't withdraw your savings and keep them safe because there's nowhere to withdraw them to. Your money exists only in the system, and the system can take it whenever it decides it needs to. Notice the pattern. Eliminate cash, force everyone into digital banking, introduce programmable currency, implement negative interest rates, legalize bail-ins. Every step removes your options, every step increases control, and every step is justified with reasonable language, efficiency, security, modernization. But the result is a system where you own nothing, not even your own money, and everything you do is visible, tracked, and controllable. This is not a conspiracy. This is stated policy. You can read the white papers from central banks. You can watch the speeches from officials. They're not hiding it. They're just counting on you not paying attention. So what happens when cash is fully illegal? When every transaction requires permission from a bank, a payment processor, or the government, you lose the ability to transact privately. Every donation you make is tracked. Every subscription is recorded. Every purchase is analyzed. And that data is used to build a profile of you, what you believe, what you value, what you might do. And when the time comes, when the government or a corporation decides you've stepped out of line, they don't arrest you. They don't prosecute you. They just turn off your money. Your account is frozen. Your cards don't work. You can't buy food. You can't pay rent. You're economically erased. And because it's all digital, it happens instantly. No warning, no appeal, just gone. And what do you do then?
All right, here's my question. When you think about trading the stock market, you think about trading from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
In a world with cash, you'd have options. You could use physical money. You could barter. You could survive while you fought back. But in a cashless world, you're helpless. You're dependent on the very system that just cut you off. That's the future they're building, not because they hate you, but because control is profitable. And a population that...
And it is because they hate you. They hate life. Okay? And they hate the poor. The people that they make. They make people poor, and they hate them for being poor. Okay? The devil's rulership is based, off hatred, man. Okay?
Depends on permission for every transaction is a population that never rebels. History shows us what happens when governments control money completely. The Soviet Union tried it and created a black market. Zimbabwe printed so much money it became worthless, and people abandoned it entirely. Venezuela's currency collapsed, and people started using dollars, gold, even video game currencies, anything but the official money. Every attempt at total monetary control has failed or created parallel economies, but governments never learn. They think this time will be different. This time, technology will make it work. And maybe they're right, because digital control is more total than anything that came before. There's no physical currency to hide. No gold to bury, just code. And code can be rewritten, restricted, and revoked at will. So what should you take from this? First,
Yes. So that's the gist of it. Okay. But it just shows you that these devils, all right, their mindset is all geared towards more control. Okay. And it's a very stupid system. Okay. What these devils is doing, the more, we get into these things, man, the more we should see that this is dumb. Okay. And this is going to be very inefficient how this man is trying to run the earth. That's why the Lord has to come back. Okay, because this nigga just on the path of self-destruction. Okay, but he's pushing to you like he got it. Okay, this nigga be experimenting, man. He don't be having it like he, this is this nigga experimenting and trying in real time. Okay, this is Rock 19 and 22. This is from the brother. All right, Mark of Ball, and it said the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence, man, because it's a very dumb idea. This whole New World Order concept is a dumb idea. Okay, first he's rebelling against, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Okay, and then how he's trying to bring it about and what he's trying to establish going forward. It's a dumb idea. He's crafty, about how he pulls things off, because that's his, gift is to be crafty, and wickedness, So certain things he pull off is like, damn, and see, he's like, no one would ever thought of that because that's his lot to be crafty and wickedness. But it doesn't mean that it's a good idea, just because he's slick, and pulling things off, and he's crafty and he's sly and cunning when it comes to his wickedness. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. Okay. But in his mind, he registers that, all right, that this is something great. Okay. But it's all just a system, okay, for more control. You see? This is the brother Yahweh, Isaiah 10 and 1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and their right grievousness which they have prescribed. And see, they're lining this thing out, to where when they cause certain events to happen, okay, they already have, legislation in place. They already have their executive orders and, their emergency authorities set up to establish this wicked system, this digital slavery, man. Okay, and they're already enslaving people digitally. Okay, the transition has started. Okay, he just wants to seal this thing up, but the transition has already started. He's already tightened the screws down. Okay. He just want to hit it with that impact drill, and sink this thing in, and that's going to be their device, all right, going into, okay, your body. Okay, that's him sealing this thing off. Okay, so they're already, transition from cash, in these other countries, over here in America as well. Cash is being phased out. Okay, but eventually, this devil gonna make a leap. He gonna make a leap somewhere, to really get this thing into the next phase. Okay, of this technocracy, man. Verse 2, it says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless, man. And he loves to keep people impoverished because it creates dependency on him. You see, and this devil, he wants the praise and the dependency that we supposed to have on the Most High. Okay, he wants their praise and dependency, man. Okay, and he thinks, well, if I can transition everybody to my system, okay, if I can get everybody aboard my system, then they'll have to praise and they'll have to depend on me as if I'm the Most High, man. Okay, This is how this man's sick and twisted mind works. Okay, let's get that. Let's get a few precepts on that. Okay, because true wisdom, begins with wealth. Beginning of wealth. Okay, because people equate, how much money you got, with your wisdom. He must be smart, based on your net worth. That's why they look at people like Elon Musk and, Peter Thiel and Sam Altman. They look at these devils as if they just these super geniuses based on a net worth. Okay? But true wisdom ain't about a net worth. Okay? It's about knowing how to use, all right, resources to live. Okay? Which one would be more valuable? Okay? Matter of fact, let's go here. So the spirit of change. Let's get this in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. All right, so let's get Wisdom of Solomon. And the scriptures say that too. A brother can post it. Wisdom is more precious than rubies. You see? I believe it's Proverbs 15, maybe. All right. But let's get this in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Okay. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. All right, chapter 7. And verse 7 says, "Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon the Most High, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I prefer her before scepters and thrones, and esteem riches nothing in comparison of her." Okay? So he's putting wisdom on a higher level, all right, than wealth. Okay? We're going to expound on why. It said, "Neither compare I unto her any precious stone, because all gold in respect to her is as little, all right, is as a little sand, and a silver shall be counted as clay before her. I love her above health and beauty, and chose to have her instead of light, for the light that cometh from her never goeth out. All good things together came to me with her, and innumerable riches, all right, in her hand." Okay, so wealth came to King Solomon based off wisdom. Okay, because wisdom goeth before, as you're going to read, and I rejoice in them all, because wisdom goeth before them, and I knew not that she was the mother of them all. Because think about it. See, he can freeze, even if you have money, he can still, freeze your bank accounts. Okay, or the devil can just stop accepting money. Okay, so all the money that you amass can be useless, okay, in an instant. But see, if you have wisdom, if you have, let's say you just have the tools on hand and the wisdom to build a house, he can't shut that off. You see, you know how to hunt, you know how to, got the wisdom of the herbs, you know how to, grow things, which that's not, a solution to what we in now, but just showing you that the concept of wealth begins with wisdom. Okay, because at the end of the day, this whole system just finna be destroyed, and we gotta be delivered. Okay, you're not gonna, homestead your way, okay, out of what's to come. Okay, we're just making the point, okay, of true wisdom. Okay, wisdom is true wealth. You see, you know how to raise livestock, raise your own meat. Okay, that's where wealth begins, in the wisdom of things. You see, there's certain ways to naturally air condition your house. There's certain ways that you can build a house to, make it winterproof. Okay, to where you don't even need this man's grid at all, just the earth. You see? But wisdom of the earth, okay, goes beyond tangible riches, because if you had riches of the earth, if you had an acre of land to where, and you had these tools to build a house, you had the wisdom to grow your food, you can make your own wine. Everything that you pay for, if you had wisdom, you could produce those things, okay, on your own land. You wouldn't need this nigga for nothing. Okay? So when he, separated people from wisdom, that's what really began to get this man leverage. Because there's going to be people with millions of dollars, okay, that's getting ready to die. All right? Just because they don't even have wisdom, simple wisdom of the earth. People are going to die of famine, right beside flowers that they can eat. Okay? People with millions of dollars with no wisdom of the earth. You see? So true wealth, starts with wisdom. Okay? But this devil, I say, he separated the masses from wisdom. Okay? To where now people are more dependent on his system. So let's go here. I just wanted to, go into that. But at the end of the day, when we get the earth back, man, wisdom is going to be at the forefront. Okay? Not no damn FRN note. People are valued by their FRN notes in this system. Okay? When really true value goes back to the wisdom from Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. Okay? That's another topic. But let's get a few of these precepts on the comment board. This is the brother Amar, all right, Kabal. Okay, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse 11 says, "For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to it." Because when you have wisdom, you have the source. Wisdom makes you capable, and all wisdom comes from Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. Okay, and wisdom, makes us capable, man. You see, so this man has distorted, okay, what true wealth is, and true wealth begins with wisdom. Okay, Proverbs 3:15 is the brother chosen ones are Israelites. All right, that she is more precious than rubies, and all things that thou canst desire cannot be compared unto her, man. And this is why even the wisdom to know not to take the MOTB, well, that's going to pay off abundantly. You see, the wisdom that we have in this latter time, knowing who we are, knowing the names of our power, knowing what's to come according to prophecy. That's why I say wisdom and knowledge. See, people, because a barter system, because people don't have no integrity, a barter system is not going to sustain people from what's to come. It might have worked, in the past, but that's not going to sustain people for what's to come. Because the scripture said, well, because of lack of bread, people going to be, at each other with these swords. And you're talking America, these entitled American assholes. You see how people was responding to the food stamps being cut off. So imagine bank accounts being cut off. What their fallout going to be like? You think people are going to be trying to do a barter system? No. America is a powder keg for great violence, man. When this thing, America is going to, like scripture say, America is going to fall with violence. Okay, I believe it's Revelation 18. Okay, how America is going to fall with, with great violence. Okay, so when this devil transitioned his money system, it's going to get very violent in America, man. The scripture say, well, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our time. Okay, the wisdom to understand what's going on and why this is happening, and understanding prophecy, okay, and understanding the hereafter, okay, that's what's going to have us stable, okay, understanding this is part of the will of the Lord. You see, because the masses are going to be confused. See, understanding is going to be a currency. It's going to be a thing of value in that day. You see, and this is what we're becoming rich in, okay, is understanding. Let's get a few precepts on there. Let's get Isaiah 33 and 6. Okay? Because what's going to make these people lose it, it's not going to be the fact of even before the actual suffering kick in, the hunger pains. Well, it's going to be the confusion, the lack of understanding that's going to have people crashing out. Okay? This is Isaiah 33 and 6 in the A&P. It says, and he will be the security and stability of your times, a treasure of salvation, wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the Lord is your treasure. You see, because we treasure this wisdom now. We treasure Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. We treasure that now. We treasure the power, okay, of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. We trust that he is, man. You see, and that's what's going to have us stable as these people, okay, are wilding out, because they're going to be crashing out just from the lack of not understanding. Their mind is geared towards America just continuing on. They got trips planned, they got the college fund, they got this, they got the stock going, they got that. Okay, so their mind is there. So when those things collapse, okay, their stability, all right, their mind is going to collapse with it. Okay, because you remember, America is these people, American up and running is these people's stability. You see, our hope is in this place collapsing. Okay, so that's why scriptures say that they gonna howl for vexation of heart. Okay, but we should shout for joy. Okay, so going here, when you go to the book of James, you see these people are invested in America, all right, and this beast system as a whole, to always be thriving. Okay. This is James 2 and 5 in the A&P. It said, listen, my beloved brothers and sisters, has not the Most High chosen the poor, okay, the poor of this world, to be rich in faith, okay, as believers, all right, to be heirs of the kingdom which he promised to those who love him. You see, so we're becoming rich in faith, and that faith is going to be a stabilizer for us in the times to come, because faith is going to produce miracles, man. All right, because we're going to have to make decisions based off the belief that the Lord is going to take care of us, man. And that's going to manifest to actual provisions. You see? So wisdom and faith and understanding going to be our currency in that day, man. That's how we're going to transact with Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, man. And it's going to say it's going to produce, all right, actual provisions, man. Okay? So that's the point, just wanted to get into that. Lord will, all right, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Once again, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully, shalom.